Throughout the history of the Pokémon franchise, we have seen several of the most popular Pokémon games get remade for modern consoles and newer audiences. These remakes are always well received and they spoon-feed us a heavy serving of that delicious nostalgia. But because the library of Pokémon games is massive, we can't have a remake for every Pokémon game out there. However, there are certainly some fan-favorite games that almost everyone wants to see remade. Hopefully the good folks over at Nintendo and Gamefreak have their ears to the ground, because if any of the games listed in this video ever get a modern remake, you know they will hit the jackpot with the franchise. So with that said, what's happening everyone? It's me, it's Count, and in today's video, I am going to list off the top 5 Pokemon games that deserve a modern remake. Alright, let's jump right into it. There's plenty of Pokemon games that are iconic, spanning across multiple generations. It's no surprise that Pokemon is the largest franchise in the world. But because there have been so many Pokemon games across so many different generations, certain great games in this franchise were never truly experienced by large groups of people. The solution to this would be to take some of the best games in past generations and modernize them for more recent generations. And that's what I'm going to be counting down here. These games are my picks for what needs to be remade for either the Nintendo Switch or any future Nintendo console. But of course, there are dozens of Pokemon games to choose from, so if you don't see your favorite Pokemon game in this video, make sure you let me know in the comments section below. Alright, so here we go. Coming in at number 5, we have Pokemon Diamond, Pearl, and Platinum. Now if you don't know, Pokemon Diamond and Pearl were originally intended to be a reboot of the Pokemon franchise. The developers of this generation of Pokemon games wanted to bring Pokemon into a modern audience. While much of the game's themes follow everything that preceded it, Game Freak innovated and introduced many new concepts that we now take for granted. Online trading, competitive player versus player tournaments, most of these features were primarily introduced or popularized through Pokemon Diamond and Pearl. If they were to give this groundbreaking set of games a fresh remake, they could use the opportunity to innovate once again. Now in terms of the game's story, it is certainly unique compared to other generations. The Sinnoh region is home to some of the most fan-favorite Pokemon, and the story direction that Game Freak took with this generation was absolutely legendary, dealing with very heavy plot points on reality, alternate dimensions, time and space, and politics, and pretty much anything else that would give any 10-year-old an existential crisis. Players experienced a Pokemon game not typical to any other mainstream game. This is something that could resonate with Pokemon's young adult audience. Also, Pokemon Diamond, Pearl, and Platinum were visually stunning games for their time. Even the developers agreed, as the reasons that they gave regarding the names Diamond, Pearl, and Platinum were inspired by the concepts of love, happiness, and beauty, respectively. Frankly, I would love to see this generation of Pokemon get the Nintendo Switch fresh coat of paint. Fortunately, if recent leaks are to be believed, this might become a reality really soon. Now coming in at number 4, we have Pokémon Puzzle League. Probably one of the highlights of the N64 era was the Puzzle League series of games, and one of the standouts of this series was Pokémon Puzzle League. Popular for its endless supply of fan service as well as that riveting and timeless Tetris Attack style gameplay, Pokémon Puzzle League was a huge success. In fact, this is a game that many players still play to this day through emulators or Nintendo's Virtual Console. Of course, that means it is primed for a modern remake. Of course, the original game had a strong tie-in to the first few seasons of the Pokemon anime, which I totally understand would be outdated today, but they could simply just remove the tie-in and remake the game entirely with a brand new theme. Plenty of Pokemon fans have familiarized themselves with iconic characters throughout the Pokemon franchise, not limited to the anime, some of which thanks to games like Pokemon Masters. Instead of having characters from the anime, Game Freak have a plethora of recognizable characters at their disposal, many of which have no tie-ins to the anime and are still major fan favorites. A remake of this Puzzle League game would fit right in with the Nintendo Switch's portability gimmick as well. Since the gameplay sessions are short, you can very easily unhook the Switch controller and play the game while you're on the can. Heck, you don't even need to make it for the Switch in order for it to be successful. you could probably just as well release it on mobile. I honestly feel like this remake is a no-brainer. Now, coming in at number 3, we have Pokemon Gold and Silver. Now I know what you're thinking, they already remade these games with Heart Gold and Soul Silver. Well yes, you're right, both of these games were already remade for the Nintendo DS over 10 years ago. But consider this, the original Red and Blue have been remade several times. In fact, it has been remade 3 times for a total of 4 iterations, with Pokemon Yellow, Pokemon Leaf Green and Fire Red, and more recently with Let's Go Pikachu and Let's Go Eevee. So therefore, having a modern remake of a game that has already been remade is not unprecedented. In my opinion, I think the perfect follow-up to Let's Go Pikachu and Let's Go Eevee would be a Switch remake of Pokemon Gold and Silver made in the same style. For one, this was one of the most popular sequel generations by a country mile among Pokemon fans, and on top of that, it just makes sense when it comes to the Switch. If Game Freak wants to follow a pattern, which they always do, I think the next logical step for the Switch series of games would be a remake of Gold and Silver to follow up Sword and Shield. I think it would be very well received. Now coming in at number 2, we have Pokemon Stadium. Now this is a no-brainer. One of the most popular and impactful console launches in the history of Pokemon was Pokemon Stadium. Back in the N64 era, this game was revolutionary. It was the first time we got to see Pokemon fully animated and in 3D battles. Needless to say, this concept is no longer novel in the current day and age, with every Pokemon released thus far in the Nintendo Switch era already having fully animated 3D battles, so this gimmick being a selling point just simply wouldn't work. However, Pokemon Stadium didn't just come with 3D battles, it came with a plethora of minigames, party games, and activities. Considering that Super Mario Party hasn't really filled the void for Switch party games, Game Freak could capitalize on the opportunity and make one of their own through Pokemon Stadium. Remake the game with a stronger emphasis on party games and minigames, and you got yourself a system seller. Now, considering that there are now over 800 Pokemon in existence, I totally get that having a game feature every single Pokemon in those crisp Nintendo Switch graphics is a tall order, but if the backlash to Pokemon Sword and Shield is any indicator, the demand is still there for a global Pokédex in the Nintendo Switch. Considering that development for a Nintendo Switch remake of Pokemon Stadium wouldn't require a vast amount of resources to develop a fleshed out story or new Pokemon designs, they could take the opportunity to finally flesh out a library of Pokemon models and animations for every Switch release, and finally give us that National Switch Pokédex. Needless to say, I think a Switch version of Pokemon Stadium would just do wonders for the Pokemon franchise as a whole. Alright, so with all of that out of the way, coming in at the top number 1 spot, this should be absolutely no surprise to you, it is Pokemon Snap. The demand for a remake of Pokemon Snap has been so high for so long that it's basically a meme at this point. The thing is, the gameplay for this game isn't even groundbreaking. It's basically your everyday arcade rail shooter like House of the Dead and Time Crisis, but take away the machine guns and give the player a camera instead. Obviously, we can't have a rail shooter Pokemon game where you go around massacring Pokemon, but Nintendo took the concept of a rail shooter and turned it into a photography simulator. What made this game so incredibly popular wasn't even the gameplay, but it was the immersion. Playing Pokemon Snap was like taking a visual tour through the world of Pokemon, something that was mind-blowing at the time. For anyone who ever wanted to actually be within the world of Pokemon, to interact with them, see them in their habitats, this game essentially allowed you to do so. The story of the game wasn't spectacular, but it did its job. You were basically a Pokemon photographer going around taking pictures of Pokemon, which ultimately leads you to space to take pictures of Mew. Now fast forward to the modern day and imagine how amazing a game like this would be. Not only would you have updated visuals, but a whole plethora of new Pokemon to add in. If they were to remake this game, you could add all of the classic stages for nostalgia's sake, but you can add dozens of new courses based on all of the different regions of the Pokemon world that were introduced since the game first came out. The possibilities are truly endless. So yeah, there you have it everyone. These are my top 5 Pokemon games that I believe deserve a modern remake. But this conversation shouldn't end here. It's time for you to share your favorite Pokemon game that you would like remade down in the comments section below. As always, I hope you are being safe. I am the one and only Count Jinsula, and I'll catch you all later. How's it hanging, everyone? Before I end this video, I want to give a quick plug to my Patreon page. If you want to support this channel, I highly suggest you go and check out the link in the description below. Every little bit helps when it comes to these YouTube videos. So if you want to support this channel, if you love the content that I'm producing and you want to contribute, definitely go and check it out. I have a lot of nice perks, like if you want to be on my permanent friends list, or if you want to get exclusive content or participate in exclusive content that's coming soon, definitely go and check it out. And to all of my patrons, I thank you for supporting my channel. I really hope you enjoyed this video, everyone, and if you did, don't forget to hit that subscribe button as well as that little bell so you stay up to date on whenever I upload videos. Follow me on social media at Count Jinsula. Leave your thoughts in the comments below. And yeah, have a great day. I'll catch you all later.